morning ritual time. The search for my keys is always like the most brutal thing ever. Boom.
Guys are making the remember.
They kick everybody out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Last night I listened to the two most recent podcasts from Robin Sharma where he talked about several things which I found very interesting. One thing that it's one of those perfect storm situations that I've mentioned before where you hear it one place, you hear it in another place. This whole thing about competition and comparing yourself to others. Dave Jackson talked about it on his recent podcast, which just passed last Monday's episode. Excuse me. I read this in during the morning ritual and reading the Fred Factor, and Robin Sharma, he talked about it again. The whole thing about competing and comparing yourself to others and competing with others. And the bottom line is basically the person you should be competing against is yourself. Of course, be inspired and copy what somebody whose level you would want to reach. But in terms of competing and comparing yourself to these people or to your peers, it's just a very stressful no-win situation. And the gist of both the Fred Factor of the Robin Sharma podcast and the Dave Jackson podcast from last week from the School of Podcasting is basically compete against yourself. Like if you reach to one level, try to reach the next level. So compete against yourself. Another thing that Robin Sharma talked about in his recent podcast, like I said, it is just so, I even listened to it several times. And what I like about Robin Sharma's podcast, Brendan Burchard's podcasts, they're motivational speakers, and they make short podcasts, maybe like 20 minutes or less long. I really prefer that. 1 hour, 2 hours, it gets too much. But another thing that he had talked about was writing down the 3 things that were good in the day. Like writing down 3 things that were the best 3 things that happened to you at the day. Like I told you before, I'm very much into journaling. Journaling is fantastic, and at the end of the day, writing down the 3 things that you're grateful for, the 3 things that went well during the day, because we always just seem to dwell on the negative, always watching the news and all the negativity. I even say sometimes just cut off the news. It's just such a stream of negativity, such a stream of fear coming from the news. And the final thing that he talked about, which I really, really enjoyed, like I said, this is a combination of these 2 podcasts. This is the final thing that really spoke to me, was you see the person that you want, that you admire, you see the person who you think has it all, but everybody in some way, shape, or form is struggling with something. two people that I admire, that I, very much look up to, and I try to even just take little itty bitty things and just copy them from these people. Like a person like Tony Robbins. I know at the last time he had an interview with Tim Ferriss, he had talked about that he was having some health issues and he was just getting very sick, and this was going on for a period of time, meaning that he was basically dealing with something. That just because he's Tony Robbins doesn't mean that he doesn't deal with stuff. And Casey Neistat, in one of his recent videos, talks about how he and his girlfriend Ken, his wife, I think the baby's mother, I'm not sure, they go to couples counseling and couples therapy as a preventative measure. I mean, everybody, even if they're the best looking person or they're the flyest looking person, they got the most awesome clothes, they got the best looking girls, or they're in the place that you want to be. Everyone is going through something. Yesterday, you see me, I make all these videos and I'm always like very upbeat and having fun, but yesterday, like, I had a bit of a relapse. I like overate, and I'm trying to not overeat, and then I ended up watching porn again, and I was doing so good for a period of time, but then ended up falling back into watching it again. So everybody is working on something, everybody's struggling with something, and even celebrities, billionaires, CEOs, everyone who, I guess, it has the things that you maybe want to acquire one day, is dealing with something in some time in their life, and currently probably dealing with a hardship, a difficulty that may not seem like a common hardship or difficulty for us, but it is for them. So everybody's struggling with something. We're all humans, and we're all just trying to make our way. But I was journaling about this. I was just thinking about this all day long, and I wanted to include this in the final video for today's vlog. Once again, if you have watched everything up to this point, thank you so much for watching, and that's it for now. God bless. Good night.